Caravans brought people, goods, cultures, and religions along the Silk Road, which extended from the Mediterranean to the Far East. Fabulous cities emerged like a mirage in the middle of the desert. Travelers shared treasures of faraway lands. Missionaries, merchants, and mystics left their footprints. Buddhists listened to the hymn of the divine and sculpted massive images in rock, while Sufi mystics whirled in ecstatic dance and prayer. Among the nations who lived by the Silk Road in Central Asia were the Uyghurs. The Uyghurs live presently in their historical land, which was divided in the 19th century by the Russian and Chinese empires into two regions: Eastern Turkestan, a 1.7 million square kilometer region that now exists within the borders of China and is called the Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region of the People's Republic of China, and Russian Turkestan. The unique richness of the Uyghur culture is due to the integration of Central Asian traditions with those of the ancient Eastern civilizations, such as Indian, Persian, and Greek. Music and dance occupy a significant place in the life of the Uyghurs. Music has proved to be a witness on the Uyghur history. It has documented the lives of the Uyghurs and preserved their identity. Tamara Hanan Alibakieva, professor of the Alma Ata Conservatory, made an invaluable contribution in research of the song folklore of the Uyghurs. Dr. Alibakieva was the first to classify genres of the Uyghur folk music. More than 300 of her books and articles were devoted to the history of the Uyghur musical culture.
The Uyghur folklore is rich with different types of songs. Many of them reflect everyday life. Through songs, one can learn about Uyghur customs and different aspects and types of work. For example, there are songs about carpet weaving, digging wells, irrigation, harvesting, milling, stone grinding, caravan songs, and mining songs. Women also have their repertoire of songs that corresponds to their daily activities. Songs about textile working, children's lullabies, as well as the song related to one of the most important events for a young lady, a wedding. There are farewell songs that are sung, or rather wept, by the mother and the daughter who is leaving her parents' home, since in the old days if she moved to another village it was very hard to come back to her native one, so it might be the last time she sees her parents. Among all musical heritage of Uyghurs, Muqam takes a special place. It is not a coincidence that among the Uyghurs it is called the mother of Uyghur music. It is a complex genre of professional music that consists of several suites related to each other. It is performed by a small instrumental, vocal, and dance ensemble. The Uyghur Muqam has passed the test of time. Its roots, as most scholars have agreed, go back to a genre of music which was practiced from the 4th century AD. The crystallization of the Muqam structure falls on the 10th century and reaches its peak of popularity in the 16th century, which was marked in Uyghur history by the classification of all 12 classical Muqams by Amanisa Khanim and Kadir Khan Yarkendi, who organized an interregional competition of Muqam. If one would listen to all the Muqams together, it would take more than 24 hours. And if one would count all the suites together, they would top 240 different suites. The beginning of Mugham usually sets on classical ghazal or muraba by one of the famous Uyghur poets. The second part of Mugham is based on traditional legends, dastans, such as Gerib Sanam, Usufan Zeleka, and others. And the third part of Mugham uses, besides the classical poetry, popular and folk texts. Due to the complexity of Mugham's tradition, many other types of art were preserved. Costumes, dance, musical instruments, and music per se, till now, have the flavor of the ancient times and traditions.
Music served as a link between the Uyghur different generations.
My interest in Uyghur studies was planted by my parents. My father was a writer and a historian, and my mother used to play Uyghur instruments and used to sing at home many different songs and dastans. Even the way I met my husband is related to my interest in Uyghur culture. He was also studying in Moscow, and we met in the main Lenin Library, which has a huge collection of books on Uyghurs. Our common interest has not only brought us together, but has also inspired and enriched our experience, since his expertise in history complemented my expertise in music.
Tamara's daughter, Adalat Isieva, has followed the footsteps of her mother. She's a musicology researcher doing her PhD in music at McGill University in Montreal. Adalat and Tamara participate in numerous musicology conferences around the world, and they both perform in festivals. They also collaborate in writing musicology research and articles.
The same language, the same root, and we have some local differences.
New generation of Uyghurs that lives here in Canada and in Kazakhstan as well as in East Turkestan are trying to preserve their culture and especially music, since they associate themselves very closely to the traditions. So they always, when they gather together in meshrabs, which is like a social gatherings, they always play different traditional instruments as well as sing songs. Uyghurs have lots of activities in Canada. Well, we have different associations in Toronto and in Montreal, and people from Montreal and from Toronto have tradition to get together summertime somewhere in a lake and talk about their culture, talk about their problems of being abroad, their countries, helping each other to adjust to the new environment and situation, and also sing the songs and dance a bit. And there are always non-professional musicians who bringing their instruments, dutar or rabab, and they are always singing, and they are even more popular than anybody else among the diaspora, because they have an instrument, and this is the sign of popularity, or this is the sign of something that is attached to our identity and our past.